We'll be talking more about this book throughout the programme this morning. We want your views, your comments. Would you buy it? News@sky.com. At Sky Charlotte is the tweet. At Eamon Holmes as well. Charlotte now with a rundown of what else is happening and what is happening.
There's more on the situation in Iraq as the US combat mission there. It lasted over 7 years and it cost more than 4,400 American lives. It is now officially over. The end was announced by President Obama, who said his country had paid a huge price to put Iraq's future in its people's hands. Our US correspondent Greg Milan reports from Washington.
Everybody have a seat.
And passengers on a flight from San Francisco to Australia survived a mid-air scare after one of the plane's engines apparently burst into flames.
Oh, there's a big one. I don't know if this is good. Okay, so seems to be a little bit more now.
A passenger returning from his honeymoon in the United States filmed these pictures on his mobile phone shortly after takeoff, and they show one of the 4 engines shooting out sparks. It's a process known as engine surge. The crew shut down the engine in question before returning to the United States, where they had to make an emergency landing, but no one was injured, just probably a little bit shocked. Not a nice way to start your holiday.
Indeed, indeed. But any flight in which you land safely is a good flight, isn't it?
True.
Thank you. We're going to get your reaction now because you've been having your say via Twitter and via email to Charlotte on this book. Would people buy it or not?
Well, it seems that curiosity will get the better of them because a lot of them are begrudgingly saying yes, they would like to read it. John Tennant's one of them. He says, love him or hate him, I can't wait to read the Blair book. It should be a fascinating insight. Barat in Gloucestershire says that as an avid reader of history and Tony Blair has an impact on history, I've ordered the Blair book in spite of my personal view of him. So it seems like a lot of people will be wanting to see exactly what it says.
A lot of people who are looking for advice on tanning, for instance, think they want to buy it as well. I'm getting a lot of tweets on that. False tanning or otherwise. We're not exactly sure what. OK, more on this book, the Tony Blair memoirs, released at 8 a.m. this morning as we progress throughout the programme. That happens at 8. The transfer window closed in football last night. Sarah Jane with the sport and the news on that after the break.
Yep, we'll bring you all the details from the Premier League's transfer deadline day, and we'll see how this Brit got on in the heat.
So many eye-catching stories in the papers today. John Gaunt, he's been casting his eye over those, and he's not short of an opinion in just over 5 minutes' time. It's Tony Blair's book, rundown of what else is happening news-wise. Then we're going to get John Gaunt's opinion on many things that are in the papers today after this from Charlotte.
And an update on the situation in Iraq. And Barack Obama has announced the end of the US combat mission in the country. 7 years after the launch of the war, the president stopped short of declaring victory, but he told Americans it's time to turn the page.
Thank goodness, pretty scary there. As we say, John Gaunt may be pretty scary with the newspapers today. Very nice to see you, but he says it as it is. And we start, John, with a story in The Sun, and this is a paedophile's confession on his deathbed, and his name, Raymond Hewlett. What did he say?
Yeah, Raymond Hewlett, he's the man who some people thought maybe had abducted Maddie McCann. He then refused, of course, to talk to detectives. He died of throat cancer last April. Now a letter has been delivered allegedly from him to his son. Now, his son hadn't spent any time with his dad for the last 20 years. But in this letter, Raymond Hewlett, according to the Sun, says he knows who took Maddie, and he says it's a gypsy gang who were stealing children to order, not for a paedophile ring, so there might be some comfort there for Jerry and Kate, although limited comfort, but for families who couldn't have children themselves.
But the awful thing about something like this is because this man was so cowardly and wouldn't allow himself to be questioned, there's no way of
ever knowing it's true. You're right, and it prolongs the agony for Kate and Jerry. It also keeps the story alive, I guess, or maybe they see it as a positive. Clarence Mitchell, their spokesman, says he now wants a full investigation into the claims, but clearly this would back up what they think, which is they think Maddie is still alive and abducted by not a paedophile ring, but by somebody who couldn't have children themselves. It's a very distressing story, though, it's got to be said.
John, it's been interesting to have you on since this Pakistan match-fixing allegations have surfaced. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it just ruins sport, doesn't it? It's a bit like when you watch the Olympics now and somebody wins the 100 metres. Your first reaction is, whoa, he must be on drugs, because of the allegations that have happened before. It takes away the glory of sport, the idea of, one man against another man, one woman against a woman, a team against other people. And now with this, I mean, when you see the video evidence, we don't know whether it's true or not, of course. But, I mean, as Ian Botham says in the coverage, I mean, the foot was well over the line when he bowled at least 2 of these balls. Obviously, it's got to be investigated, but I can't see how these guys, I've seen your reporter earlier saying these guys are still going to play in Somerset tomorrow. I don't see how they can continue to be here while these accusations are levelled against them. They surely got to have the opportunity to clear their names or be found guilty. But here in the Mail, they're saying the alleged cricket fixer had a blizzard of phone calls linked to big games. So the suggestion being that if there is any truth, then it's gone back 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 years. Also brings into question the, you remember the Australian umpire who moaned about the fact that he thought the Pakistanis were ball tampering.
Indeed, and he lost his job as a result.
He lost his job and he could no longer be an umpire. Darren Hannah, isn't it? I think his name is. So it brings up all that as well. But also, the worst thing about this story is the fact that these people and this story is now keeping Pakistan, the real story of Pakistan, off the front page of the newspapers and off the headlines, which are these dreadful floods. And I bet you there's loads of people watching this programme and think, I ain't giving no money to Pakistan. They're all match fiddling fiddlers or, you know, or crooks or whatever.
It's a bad image,
It's just a bad image. It's an image Pakistan doesn't need at the moment because these floods are absolutely horrendous. And we're talking about little children losing their lives and dying in absolute agony. So people have still got to dig deep regardless.
Yeah.
But these 3, if it's true, I'm going to keep saying that, have shamed not only cricket but their country as well.
And also just bookmaking in general and the way you're allowed to make bets on events. I mean, I'm thankful that I do not have that addiction, that I can actually watch a sporting event not worrying about how my money's doing on it.
I don't mind a flutter on, on a football game, who's going to score first or whatever.
First throw in, first corner.
Well, yeah, and also the fact now you can bet in play. I mean, that's what's actually changed, isn't it?
Yeah.
In lots of games.
I know people who just can't enjoy a sporting event, particularly football, because they've got so many bets there.
Having a bet on who's going to win or what the score's going to be, who gets the first goal, fine. But you're right, what time's the first throwing going to be?
OK, Tony Blair's book, we're now 15 minutes away from it being released in the shops. Will you be joining the queue to buy one? You
know what, I will read it. I will read it, but I don't know whether I'll buy it. I'll probably wait for one of these political hacks to put it down after they've finished with it, and I'll take it away. But I want to just focus on the Iraq, because I think this is what's going to come out later. We're going to no doubt hear from the relatives of people who've lost loved ones. As death toll rose, I wept over the Iraq nightmare, he says.
No apology, but he did cry.
He did cry and he did think about it, but at no point does he apologise for going into Iraq. He still thinks he was right to remove Saddam Hussein. And you know what? I agree with him.
OK. Here's a thing that was doing incredible business on the internet yesterday and on Twitter. People who hurled pups into a river and filmed it.
Yeah, in Croatia, if it's true. I mean, there's a big feeling now that this could be a hoax. It says here, race to find callous internet girl who hurled pups in river. This is in the Express. Now, the thing about this story is it's the same website that found Mary Bale, the woman who put the cat in the dustbin, which, of course, was genuine. But you've got to ask the question, if this is a hoax, why are they putting it up on a website as well? And also, why are people viewing it? Do you really need to see the video?
No.
There's 2 million views so far. Do you really need to see the video of the girl throwing puppies into the river?
No, but apparently there is a video. I haven't seen it yet, of showing Mary Bale being put into.
Yeah, that's a Mickey take. It's very funny. The cat gets its revenge. You've not seen it?
I haven't seen it
You've
yet.
got to watch it. That's very good. That's very
Fabio Capello, it's reported in the back pages today that the FA have advised and they've said change your image, lighten up, for instance.
Well, I'd like the FA to change their image and employ younger people. There's another story. They're going to employ younger people on the FA committee. They need to do that immediately. And the best way to lighten up Fab is to sack him, relieve him of the burden of the job. He's not up to the job. He's not the right person, hasn't got the confidence of the team, seems to upset the press as well. And I was listening to you earlier saying, oh, maybe he needs to take off his glasses. You're right, because I christened him Postman Pat of football. That would be a start. But basically, this ain't the guy, is it? If he didn't have a foreign accent and funny glasses...
He's going to be very expensive to get rid of, isn't he?
Yes, right. Yeah, I know, but that's the FA's fault for redoing the contract. Okay. But if he didn't have a foreign accent and didn't have those funny glasses, he wouldn't have kept his job this long. Okay. We think he's mysterious.
OK. We're going to take a break there, John. Thank you very much indeed. After this, we've got Gemma Arterton.